Landing one corporate contract can sound exciting. It's what we're all working for. But the real play is when you learn how to turn that one contract into an annual or even multi-year opportunity. In this video, I'm going to break down how it works and give you a little example of a client that I worked with to do just that. So let's dive in. All right, first, why is this important? Getting one contract is great. It could truly change your business. There are contracts that go for 6 figures, multiple 7 figures, and even 8 figures, right? So one contract can be amazing. But most times we don't have the strategy in place to turn that into an annual or multi-year opportunity, creating this ecosystem where you don't have to go around chasing corporate contracts every single quarter or every single year, but you literally have a solid client, 2 or even 3, that make up what your annual revenue is right now just in contracts. How does that sound? I mean, even just with it coming out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, if I was on the other end of this camera, I would be leaning in. This is why this is super important. And you have to understand that where there's one contract, there are many. And if you don't know how to uncover and ask the right questions, you'll get the, oh, this was great. We enjoyed it. Everyone had great feedback. And then when you try to follow up to see what else you can do, ghost it, right? So how many of you can say that's happened to you? You've done a workshop, you've done something amazing, and then it just kind of falls flat until maybe they have the same event next year and reach out to you, or you just never get the opportunity to go further with that organization. Once you get inside of the space, you have to start thinking like a strategic partner, not just someone doing a training or just someone who has an expertise in a certain area. You need to be looking for problems. This is why the first thing that's super important in this is in your discovery calls, even if they came to you saying, hey, we're looking for someone to do a stress and burnout workshop. Great. Most people are going to say, awesome. All right, I'm excited to do this. This is a part of my topics. Here's what we can do and and plan the workshop. That's what most people do. That's great. What an expert would do is say, awesome, Kathy. I love that you all are looking to do this. Tell me a little bit more about what even brought this about. That is an expert level question because that shows you see them wanting the workshop as a surface level problem, but there's something behind the scenes that made this come up in the first place. And the more you can uncover the big picture of that, the more you can then say, awesome, well, this workshop sounds great. However, from our conversation, I'm seeing this, and this to be a problem as well. I'd like to put together something that really addresses this from a holistic standpoint rather than just band-aiding the initial problem. If you use those words, you're in a totally different space. You're not just someone looking to gain or looking to have a logo on your website saying you work with this organization. You are then becoming a strategic partner, which is how you unlock the doors to those opportunities. So the first step is going to be in the discovery call. The second thing that you want to keep in mind with this is asking about the timeline, understanding the timelines and how they work. This is also a part of the discovery call process as well, but just another angle that you want to keep in mind. Now, they may be looking to do a workshop. They may be having a retreat or a certain event and something to that nature that they may be initially reaching out to you for. But what are the other milestones? What are the other things that are coming up that are important to this other person on the line that you should know about? When I was in my sales career, asking these questions were literally like the goal to be able to build strong relationships, which ultimately turned into contracts. You have to start thinking and anticipating questions that they may not even be asking themselves, but they're important questions for you to know in order for you to serve them better, okay? So start thinking about the timeline, the bigger picture. What is important to you over the next 6 to 12 months? What is your 18-month plan in this particular role? That can start to get you in a position where now you can start mapping out what a 12-month plan would look like to engage with you in these particular areas that you can service them in. Okay, so in that process, this can be the discovery call. This can also be subsequent conversations or as you're building the relationship. Start thinking about the timeline and process and align your solution to those timelines. All right, this is the last thing that I'll say, and this is something that most people, again, miss. Remember how I mentioned earlier before, there'll be people who have these contracts or you might get an opportunity and it'll be great. You'll get fantastic feedback. You know, everyone's interested, everyone's excited, everyone was engaged. And then maybe you try to follow up a few weeks from now and say, hey, I want to be able to get back on your calendar again and talk with you more about things that I can do. You've missed the mark at that point. What you actually want to do is make sure before you even step foot, whether it's virtually or in person, to that corporate client, you want to have a debrief call already scheduled on the calendar. Why? Because it offers you, one, the opportunity to present your data. Companies are run by data. They are run by, of course, budgets, but data informs those budgets. Now, you don't have to go and do a whole analysis. You're not going to be able to do a profit breakdown or how this impacted their bottom line, but you can capture sentiment, which is very important in a corporate context in terms of how they decide what to do for moving forward. You can capture a difference between how people showed up during the talk and how they showed up after. And then the sweet spot is you can use that information to say, wow, this was great. We had a lot of great feedback. What I typically find is after workshops like this, the adoption of the strategies that we discussed drop dramatically, which is why we developed a package that includes small group coaching, that includes consulting work with the individuals who are part of the HR team developing training, so that we can start to build the processes in place, which this is really how it works anyway, y'all. So if you're doing any type of training and development, I need y'all to know that this is how it works. You don't just do it one training. You really got to go inside, see where the holes are, and let that inform your runway and process moving forward. Okay, I digress. So you let them know that there are opportunities to help them continue seeing the trajectory and the true measurable results that they want to see based on working with you in a longer context. You want to be presenting this up front. In your proposal conversation, I always recommend positioning. I recommend presenting an entire package from jump and then letting them decide, okay, let's just start with this. Let's just start, here, if that's what they want to do, or maybe they want to go with the whole package. But psychologically, they're now not just placing you as a person who does a talk on one particular thing. They're now seeing you as a person that provides a holistic solution in a way that they truly need. So even if they decide in that moment not to go with the full package, in the debrief conversation, revisit it, because now they've seen, now they've experienced you. You're showing them the data and you're showing them where the clear gap is to them actually getting the results that they need. So you got to be like this deep with it if you really want to get like these larger opportunities. It doesn't just come from the people who know how to talk well or who know how to present well. It's the people who know how to position and fill the gaps well. Run that back. It's the people who know how to position and fill gaps well that truly get repeatable opportunities. Okay? All right. That's what we have today. Make sure that as you're going after these opportunities, focus on the discovery call and ask those right questions to be able to identify a full solution. Timeline is important as well. That's the second piece that we talked about. So you can start to map a solution that is mirroring the timeline of when they would like to see certain things happen. And then number 3, have that debrief call on the calendar before any work has begun. It's already there. So there's no way for them to ghost you unless they decide to cancel or something like that, which most times if something is on the calendar and if you did well, like they're going to want to have a conversation and you want to hype it up. So you want to say during that time of you booking the call, like, this is very important part of the process, because what we pride ourselves on is being able to go through the data with you so you can truly see the ROI of what you received. And then I also want to capture some of the sentiment so that moving forward, you know exactly how to implement to make sure you have long-lasting results. Who's not going to want to have a conversation about that? And you can even say, most times I do these workshops, they're great, but I know that there's more that can be extracted from it. So we're going to use this time to talk about this so that we can make you a plan moving forward on how to continue the trajectory that we've built. Got to sell it, okay? So do those 3 things. And I want to give you an example of how India did this. I actually did a case study with her. This is a client that I had last year. And I'll link her case study because it's here on YouTube in the description. But she literally did this. She transitioned her hourly practice. She's a therapist. And she actually went into organizations and started charging her rates based on packages, not hourly rates, and was able to turn that into consistent opportunities with the nonprofits that she was working with. So it's very simple. It's all about how you position yourself. And she was able to start landing $10,000 packages coming from hourly rates. So think about the fact that you're using the same amount of time that you would have shown up on a call with one person for an hour. You've now turned that into a $10,000 package for the same hour, and you've also opened yourself up to multi-year opportunities. I don't think it can get any better than that. And once you start to run this strategy, you'll see how you only need a handful of corporate clients to really change your business and ultimately change your life. If you want to see more on how this works, shoot me a DM over on Instagram and just say contracts, and I'll know what you're talking about. And we'll have a quick conversation. I'll share with you how this can be mapped out in your business. So you'll be reaching out directly to me. There's no videos and VSLs and things to watch. You'll literally have a conversation with me on what this can look like in your business, because I don't want any roadblocks to get in your way. And I don't want you showing up missing the mark, just going in on one opportunity and not unlocking the gold mine that's on the other side when you implement these 3 strategies. So go ahead and send me a DM over on Instagram. Just say contracts, and I will show you how this works in your business. All right, I'll see you on the next one.